to understand what is AWS. So we will understand basics of AWS and then we will build agents on AWS. So just to keep it very simple, AWS is a web-based application or web-based platform which you can use to access certain services which Amazon sells on cost basis. So there is a website. On that website, if you go, there are certain services. You can consume those services and you can pay for that to Amazon. That is in nutshell what is AWS. So what are these services? To name some of the services, suppose you want to have a storage. So there is a service called S3 where you can go and store your data. Suppose you want to have a database. So there are various databases offering from AWS. For example, one example could be DynamoDB. So in DynamoDB, you can go and store your data. Similarly, suppose you want to build, train and deploy machine learning models. So there is a service called SageMaker where you can go and build, train and deploy your machine learning models. Suppose you want to work with large language models and any kind of advancements of foundation models, etc. Then there is a new service given by AWS known as Bedrock. So you can go to Bedrock and you can use the Bedrock service and work with LLMs. There are many of these services. I have just named a few here. To keep it very short and simple, it's a web-based platform, which means a website where you can go use these services and pay to Amazon on your use basis. In our demo, in our example for learning purpose, I will try to keep the cost as minimum as possible so that you don't pay anything from your pocket. Mostly it will be $0, but suppose even if it becomes, let's say, some 0.40 or $0.50, you should not worry much about because it's a very low amount and for learning purpose you can pay this much. So don't worry about charge. We will not be using some expensive services. I'm just going to tell you how to do the basic setup now. Okay, you can go to Google and you can search for AWS console login. At the moment you search, it will just simply give you links like this. You can simply go and you can click on the first link. And I have an account here, but if you don't have an account, first time it will ask you to create an account. Okay, create an account. It will ask you for credit card. Don't worry, you can give your credit card. As I said, whatever services we will use, it will not be more than $1. Okay, $1 or $2. And that much you can spend on learning. That's not a problem, but mostly it will be $0. So even if it is asking credit card, give your credit card. It will deduct some initial money just to verify the card and it will refund that as well. Okay. So once you log in, right, the console will show like this. So this is my console. This is the home screen for AWS. And here all the services, I was talking about services, right? So here you can see many services. For example, in analytics category, there will be these services. In application integration, there are these services. In compute category, there are these services. Okay, in database, there are these services. So there are many services, but we will not touch all the services. We will touch only what is needed and what is important. Fine. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the basic setup, and that you should also do in your machine so that we will be able to move to the next parts of the learning. So what I'm going to do now is I will type here something known as IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. Go to IAM and I will create a brand new user. Go here and create users. And here I will create a brand new user. Click on create user and say Aman, Udemy. Let's give March 08, some date I'm giving, and I'll click next. Fine. I'm not wanting to give console access, so I just click next. Now what I need to do is I will just attach some policy to the user. So click on attach policies directly. And here I'm going to attach an administrator policy. So when you work in organizations or companies, there will be a lot of segregation of what you can access, what you cannot access, lot of division of access. But here, to keep things simple, to not confuse you with roles, access, age permissions, etc., I'm giving this user administrator access, direct highest access, so that this user has no problem in accessing anything. So I will say next. I will say create user. Okay, so my user has been created. Click on view user, and once you click on view user, you should create an access key for this user. So as I told you, I will log into AWS from my local computer using this access key. So click on create access key, click on command line interface, and click on I understand this, click on next, and then just give my user anything you can give here, tag value, then create access key. Okay, if you see here, it has given you an access key and a secret access key. What you need to do is you need to save these two things. Okay, these are very, very important information. Or you can download the CSV as well. If you can see, I have downloaded this. Amen Udemy March 8 access key I have downloaded. Fine. Or you can copy this and paste it somewhere in Notepad. Or you can download the CSV, whatever works for you. Now this user, we have the access keys. We can access AWS from our local machine using this user. Before that, I want to do one more thing. Since Bedrock is a new service, so as I told you, Bedrock is for LLM and Agentic AI, etc. I will explicitly add one more access here for the user. Okay, so I will go here, I will say add permission. I will attach one more policy. I just want to ensure that this user has full Bedrock access. This user should not have any problem in accessing Bedrock. So I'm saying AWS Bedrock full access. Let's give this access as well. Add permission. So as you can see, this user has administrator access, Amazon Bedrock full access. Okay, and we have the user keys through which we can log into AWS. Now the question is, how do we log into AWS? So for that, what you need to do is you need to go to Google and search for AWS CLI download. You are going to get a first link. Click on this link. Okay, and here it will simply tell you AWS CLI install and update instructions. Go to Windows, Linux, or Mac, whatever it is. Download this. This is a download. Okay, download this and install. So mine is Windows machine. I have already installed in my Windows machine. So I can simply go to my command prompt. Once you install this, right, you can go to your command prompt and you can access. For example, here is my command prompt. I will go here, and since AWS CLI I have installed, so next thing I can do is I can do AWS configure. And at the moment you write AWS configure, right, it will ask you for AWS access key ID. Where is that access key ID? That is same thing that I downloaded just now. So for that user, I have an access key and I have a secret access key. So let me copy this. I will copy this. I will go to here and I will paste this. This is access key and it is asking for secret access key. Take this and paste it here. It will ask you default region name. So I'm giving US East 1 as default region. It will ask you default output format. I'm giving JSON as default output format. So what has happened now is from my local machine, I am logged into AWS using this user, which I created just now. What this user can do, this user had administrator. So I am searching Bedrock here. And if you click on Amazon Bedrock here, right, then you are going to get an interface where there are a few things I want to walk you through. So here, if you see Amazon Bedrock, this is an introduction. Amazon Bedrock supports over 100 foundation models from the industry leading providers and emerging leaders. Select a serverless model or Bedrock marketplace model that is best suited for achieving your unique goals. So what is Amazon Bedrock in nutshell is it lets you build your applications in cloud, AWS cloud, using LLM and everything around that. For example, first of all, I want to walk you through something known as model catalog. So model catalog basically tells you what all models are available here to use. For example, if I click on Amazon, then from Amazon you have Nova Macro, Nova Pro, Nova Real, and all these models. Suppose if I go and click on DeepSeek, from DeepSeek you have these models available. Suppose if you go and click on Anthropic, you have these models available. So basically it's a model catalog and you can use any of these models. Obviously some of these will be charged differently based on how you are using it. Fine. You can choose serverless. So these models are serverless. You can use it very easily. Llama models are also there. One important thing here is first time when you log into AWS, right? These models will not be enabled for you by default. So what you need to do is you need to enable these models. There was a link here where all the models, model access, okay? So here you have to click on model access and you can simply Bedrock configuration model access. You can simply say grant access to these models. So in my case, you can see, don't worry, it will not charge you anything, but you have to simply enable access. So here I have enabled access for these Amazon models, these Anthropic models. These are not, I have not enabled, but again, Cohere models, Meta models. Okay. What you can do is you can simply go here and you can click on modify model access, and whatever access you want, you can simply say enable these accesses for me and it will be enabled for you. Fine. So it's a simple exercise you have to do before you can access any models. Now let's go to Bedrock again and I'm going to show you some more things here. So in a nutshell, Bedrock is having many models which you can use. Now, let's not go into all these, what are these things, but let's go into Playground. Playground is something where you can see how model is working. So for example, this is a chat model. I can simply go and select a chat model. For example, go to Amazon, select Nova Pro, okay, and say apply. And here you can set your temperature, top P, response length. These are basically your LLM settings. Hi, please tell me about Anthropic. Okay, don't worry about misspellings, it will correct it. Okay, so it is telling me about Anthropic. So as you can see, this is a playground, so I can play with these models. But obviously, I will not want to use model like this. I will want to use it in a program or somewhere, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do that. And remember, prerequisites for doing that is you should have AWS CLI installed and you should have logged in as we learned now in the previous lecture. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write some Python codes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can use any AWS model in Python. First of all, you need to, if you don't have this package, just install this package called Boto3. Okay, you need this package. And then what you can do is you can initialize a Bedrock runtime. You can say boto3.client bedrock runtime. Reason you have to give US is 1. Fine. So I'm running this. So what I have done now is I have initialized a bedrock runtime. Using this runtime, what I can do is I can call any of the model. But how to call the model will depend on which model you want to use. So I'm going to write a prompt here and I'm going to show you how you can call a model basically. So if you see here, I'm saying prompt, hi, tell me about feature engineering. This is my prompt. And here I'm giving some arguments. If you see, I'm giving a model ID. Okay. My model ID is Amazon Titan Text Express V1. So let's go to model catalog. Let's go to Amazon. Let's go to Titan Text. This one. Maybe this is the model I'm using. Let me just double verify. Or anyway, we will just see how to use that model basically. So this is an embedding model basically. This is not the one I'm using. Let me see other model. I'm using an Amazon model only. Let's go to Amazon. Titan image generator, no. Titan image generator, Titan text embedding, Titan text G1 Premier. No, I am not using Titan text generator. Titan text G1 Lite. Let's take this one only. Okay. So if you take any model, right, what you will observe is there is a API request format here, and in this format there is a model ID. So I can use this model as well, not a problem. I can take this model, I can put it here in the model ID, and I can give content type application JSON. This is basically syntax. And then in the input text, we will give prompt. And in the text generation config, we will give token count, temperature, and top P. These are basically LLM configurations. Basically, prompt is important. Okay. So basically, there is a way in which you should call the model. So if you see here, right, content type, accept, body. So this is the format in which you should call that particular model. Okay. So we can use this format, or we can use my previous format, whatever works for you. That's fine, not a problem. Since this format was suitable to my previous model, so let me switch back to my previous model only. Okay, Amazon Titan Text Express V1 model. Now this is, I have prepared my prompt and I have prepared my keyword arguments. What I need to do now is I need to call that model. So how to call that model? Basically, I can simply invoke that model using Bedrock runtime that I have created before. So if you see here, I'm saying Bedrock runtime.invoke model quarks. Quarks is basically this. So let me run this. And if you see this, this is running and fetching the response from the Bedrock now. And I will have to pass that response as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write json.loads response getty.read and generation. Basically this is parsing whatever response is coming from there. Okay, and then you can print the generation. So print generation, and you can see feature engineering is the process of using domain knowledge, blah blah blah. So what is happening here is, let me change it to, please tell me about making a good PPT for marketing. Okay, so I'm changing my prompt and I will recall that model. So you will see that based on my prompt, based on my configurations, right, I'm able to call a model which is in Bedrock. And the same thing you can do in the front end as well. So here GUI also, you can do the same thing. So go to model catalog, choose, chat or playground, go to chat or playground, select model, go to Amazon, maybe for example, take this Express, and you can say apply, and you can just, these things only I'm setting there, temperature, top P, etc. You can write your prompt here. So if I go here, you will see that my generation is ready for creating a good PPT for marketing. Only thing you need to keep in mind is whatever model you are. Let's go ahead and try to build our first agent in Bedrock. So if you see in the left hand side, there is builder tool. In the builder tool, there is something called as an agents. Click on agents, and what you can do is you can click on create agent. And this agent, I will call this UFDS, that is Unfold Data Science, my YouTube channel. I will say course recommender. Okay, so this is my agent name. And here in the description, I'm saying this agent is made to recommend courses to Unfold Data Science learners. So this is some basic things you need to put. Name and description is optional, but again, you can put it. And you can simply say create agent. So what will happen is in Bedrock, one agent will get created, something like this. Once a agent is created, now please attention here very carefully. These things are very new in AWS. Okay, agents are new, and many components of this is still in development, and every day something new gets released. So I may face some issues related to access roles, etc. when I build this. So please pay attention to what issues I'm facing and how I'm fixing that. So what I'm doing here is I'm building an agent. Then you have to choose this option, create and use a new service role. So the meaning of service role is using which role this agent will run. So this is basically access related stuff. Okay, so you choose create and use a new service role. Fine. In terms of model, I can go and select any model that I want, but for now, let me select Titan Text G1. Just any model you can select, but I have selected Titan Text G1. And here, what I should do is I should write some instruction for the agent. This is very important, guys. So your instructions are crucial here. So what instruction you want to give to the agent? I want to give few instructions. Okay. So I will simply say, if you see my instructions, right, I will simply say, please recommend courses, or let me give a more formal instruction. Okay, so I'll paste my prompt here. If you can read this, right? In the instruction, I am simply saying when a user initiates a conversation, begin by asking for their years of professional experience and the specific data science topics or courses they are interested in. Use the gathered information to recommend the most appropriate unfold data science course. Use action groups to recommend course and explain to user. I'll tell you what is action group in a moment. Don't worry about this. Maintain a friendly and professional tone throughout the conversation. Fine. So this is my instruction to the agent. I have done this. Here you can see something known as action group. I am not adding anything here. I'll add later. I will tell you how. This is very important. Keep these things as it is and simply say save. And you can say save and exit. At the moment you say save and exit, right? You will see that an agent is prepared. Name is UFDS course recommender. There is an ID with the agent. Okay, so just this ID is very important. Just, I am just making you aware that this ID is important. This is my description. This is my creation date. And if you can see, status of the agent is not prepared. So you cannot use this agent if it is not prepared. So what you should do first is you should prepare the agent. And if you see on the right hand side, there is a link coming to prepare. So click on prepare. Click on prepare. Your agent is getting prepared in the background and now status is prepared. Now you can use this agent. One more thing I want to do before I use this agent. I want to create an alias for the agent. So what is an alias? So see here, an alias points to a specific version of your agent. Once you create and associate a version with an alias, you can test it. With an alias, you can also update agent version that your client application uses. So basically, when you add functionalities in your agent, right, alias helps you to point to the right version of your agent. So I will say UFDS course alias is the name of my alias. And here I will say unfold data science course recommender alias. Fine. Just say create alias. So alias will also have its own ID. Please keep in mind alias have its own ID. This is alias ID. This is my plain simple agent created. Now what I can do, I can simply start talking to the agent. I can say hi and my agent will say something here. So hello, how can I help you today? Please suggest me a course. Okay. So my agent will, based on the instructions that I have given, right? My agent should ask, sure, I can help you. Could you please let me know about your years of professional experience and specific data science topics or courses you are interested in? My years of experience is 7 years and my interest is in data science. Let's see what the agent does now because it has no tools or nothing to use. Okay, let's see what the agent does now. There's nothing it can do. It's a very specific request that user is asking, nothing it can do. We will improve this agent, but before that what I want to show you is so I apologize, I'm unable to assist you with your request due to lack of available tools. Is there anything else I can help you with? Okay, obviously, because there's nothing it can do. It's a very specific request that user is asking, nothing it can do. We will improve this agent, but before that, what I want to show you is I want to show you how you can call this agent from Python. And for doing that, what you need to do is you need to first of all go to Python and try to import Boto3 again. So here is the area where I may face some access related issues and I will solve it in front of you. Don't worry. I will show you how you can solve that as well. Fine. So what you need to do is you need to import Boto3 as usual. Import JSON and import a package called UUID. Why I am importing UUID is I want to generate a unique string every time I'm calling the agent so that I can track it using session ID. Fine. So the job of UUID is basically to generate a unique string like this. Don't worry about this. This is basically to have an interaction with the agent with a unique ID. This is done. Now two things should happen here. One is you should define your role ARN. So what is the meaning of role ARN and what is the meaning of region? So in AWS, right, there is a lot of segregation on accesses. Okay. So if you see, when I created the user, I created using this role. So I'll open this role, right click and open this role. And if you go to this role, right, you will see a ARN here. Copy this ARN. There is a copy button, copy this ARN and simply say role ARN is this. The meaning is when I will call that agent, I will call using this role. And region, as I told you, I am using US East 1. Region is important here. So if you click top, right, you will see US East 1 is the region. And if you remember, when I logged in through command line, right, I chose US East 1. So US East 1 here and US East 1 there. So region you have to be very careful, otherwise your agent will not work as expected. So in region, you can give US East 1. Fine. So let me go to my Python code and give region US East 1. These two things you can save in these two variables. Now what you can do is you can initialize a client called STS. So what is the meaning of STS is I am logged in into Python through that user, administrator user, if you remember. I want that user to use this role because this role has the capacity to call the agent. So I want that user to use this role. For that, what I want to do is I want to run a function called assume role. So here, if you see, right, I am writing assumed role object is equal to sts client dot assume role. Assume role means I am telling my user to assume this role. Fine. So I will run this, and if some error comes, right, I will tell you how to fix that. So let me run this. So I'm trying to run this, and what I'm trying to do through this package, right, through this code, I am telling my user to take this role. Okay, because I know this role can call the agent. So this user I am telling take this role, and if you see there is an error, access denied while calling assume role operation on user. So which user I'm using? If you can see, Aman Udemy March 8 is my user. It is saying is not authorized to perform STS assume role on resource. This meaning is my user is not allowed to assume that role. How to fix that? So to fix that, please see very carefully. You have to go to that role, go to that role. In that role, go to trust relationship and say edit trust relationship. At the moment you say edit trust relationship, before the last curly brace, give a comma, give a enter, and I will give you a code that you need to paste here. So that code is basically I am allowing that assume role to happen for that user. So I'm pasting this here. If you see, effect is allow principal AWS and this user, right? So what is the name of my user? Let's go to Python and take that. What is name of my user? The name of my user is Aman Udemy, this user. Okay, so I can copy from IAM also, or I'm copying from Python as well, no problem. This user, fine. What I'm saying is this user should be allowed to assume this role. I'm saying update policy. Okay, if you see here, effect is allow principal this user action STS assume role. And now let's go to Python and try running the same command again. As you can see, this ran successfully now because that user is now able to assume that role. Fine. So that do is we can create a new bed agent runtime. So previously we were using Bedrock in the previous exercise. Now we will use Bedrock agent runtime if you see. Okay. So Bedrock agent runtime is used for working with Bedrock agent. So I'm saying create a new client using the assumed role credentials. This is correct. Use Bedrock agent runtime because you should not by mistake use Bedrock agent which we used previously. You should use Bedrock agent runtime. Okay. And region is region name. So here region is US East 1 and these credentials it will take from, remember when you logged in, these credentials get stored in cache. Okay. So it will take from there. So let me run this now. So Bedrock agent runtime is created. And now, as I was telling you, let me give some context here and try to call the agent. So I'm trying to give a context here. So for example, here I will say, hi, I need help with choosing a course. Can you help? Okay, so this is my context. And now I will try to call the agent and see if I'm able to call or if there are problems coming. But for calling that agent, you should know agent name and alias name both. So what I'm going to do here is this bed, if you see here, right, in a try catch block I'm putting Bedrock agent runtime I'm using. So if you see Bedrock agent runtime dot invoke agent ID and alias ID is what I need to take from here. So agent ID, agent ID and alias ID. So agent ID and alias ID you should take. Input text is your input text that is coming from here. Session ID is coming from the top. And this was, I was doing something for debugging. This is not needed. And in event stream, you can simply take completion response and then print what is the response. When I run this, I expect an issue because I have done this before and there is something I will tell you now. So let me try to run this. Here you can see one issue. The issue is an error occurred when calling the invoke agent operation. User this, which is my role, okay, is not authorized to perform invoke agent on resource agent alias this because no identity based policy allows the bedrock. So one more policy we need to add here. Fine. And I will generate this policy using the help of Gemini, Google Gemini. Okay. So this you can also do. And I am getting this error while calling agent in Python SDK. Please help me with policy I should add. So what it will do is it will give you a policy which you can simply add in your role. Okay. So this is the policy. This is the policy. You can simply copy it and you can go to your Bedrock. So if you see, right, you need to attach the IAM policy to this role that grants invoke agent. So you go to your role. This is your role, right? Go to permission, go to create inline policy, go to JSON and just paste this. Okay. So if you see here, it is taking my agent alias and agent ID, and then it is basically allowing that. So I'll say next. I will say allow call from SDK, create policy. Fine. So I have added this on the agent inline policy. Now let's go here and try to run this. So if you can see, I am able to get the response. I can help you with that. Could you please provide me with the name of the course you are interested in? This is the response coming from the model. So what we have learned now is how to create an agent here and how to call that agent from Python. We faced some challenges. We solved that. And I told you, sometimes you can take help of Gemini or ChatGPT to generate some policies. Not recommended if you're working in production scenario or for companies, but for learning purpose, obviously we can do these things. Okay. So basically two places only we faced issues. One is while assuming the role. So there you can simply paste that whatever I told you. Second is it is not able to call. So I generated this policy. Fine. So I will save this policy also and I will pass it forward and try to make our agent more smart by adding something known as action groups. So what is action group? First of all, let's try to understand that. And for that, I am taking you to AWS documentation here. So if you search in Google action groups in AWS Bedrock, right? You see here an action group represents the actions that an agent can carry out for the customer by defining the APIs that an agent can call and logic for calling them. So basically you can think it like functions, tools, etc. that you add in the agent to make agent more capable. And what we are going to do, we are going to add some functions now in our agent that our agent can call. And if you want to read more about action groups, you can just go to documentation, Amazon Bedrock action group, how to add, etc. But I'm going to show you a demo now on how to add an action group and how to make your agent more smart. So talking about our agent, what our agent is currently doing is, it is not very smart in recommending the courses. So I'm going to do two things here. First is I'm going to define two different action groups. Okay, so this is the plan of action that we need to keep in mind. So I will define two different action group 1 and action group 2. Why two different action group? Because I want to have two different kind of functionalities for my agent. What will my action group 1 will do is basically it will recommend course to the user. So any user comes, the job of action group 1 is to recommend the course. The job of action group 2 is to say to the user why that course is best suitable for the user. Okay, so to explain or to validate the recommendation. So I'm just saying to explain the recommendation. So it will simply say that this course is good for you because of ABC's XYZ reason. Okay, to explain the recommendation. Now, based on what the recommendation will happen, we need to try to understand here. So in my case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take an input from user, and then input will be years of experience. So suppose any user comes, right? I will ask to that user, what is your total years of experience? And based on this years of experience, I will just recommend three different courses. For example, if my user says I am 2 years experienced, I will recommend course 1. If the user says I am 2 to 5 years experienced, I will recommend course 2. If my user says 5+ years of experience, I will recommend course 3. So here the logic will be take years of experience and run a if else logic and recommend a course. That is what my first action group will do. I'm also going to take an optional parameter here from the user known as what is your area of interest. But this one is the mandatory parameter because based on this, my course will be recommended. And here what will happen is once my course is recommended, right, I will give a logic. So for example, course 1 plus logic to explain why course 1 is the best course for the user. Course 2 plus logic to explain why course 2 is best for the user. Course 3 plus some logic to explain why course 3 is best for the user. So here at a very high level, you need to understand we are trying to do two things from two different action groups. First action group will have a function that will recommend the course. Second action group will have a function that will explain why the recommendation is a good recommendation. And in all this process, we need one mandatory input from user. That input is years of total experience user is having. How to implement all these things in Python and AWS? I'm just going to show you some Python code now, and I'm going to do that in AWS UI, of course. But first, I want to show you how my action groups and how my functions will look like. And when I'm saying function, right, it will be a lambda function in Python AWS. Okay. So if you are not aware of lambda concept in AWS, right, you can search unfold data science lambda function and you will get a video where you can learn about how lambda functions work in AWS. Basically, lambda is a very simple offering of AWS which lets you run anything in AWS without worrying about the server. So this is basically a serverless platform that lets you run your any function, any logic that you want to run. Okay, if you want to learn more, as I said, search in Google and search in YouTube unfold data science lambda function. You will know more about it. But you should just understand that my logic will go inside lambda. Fine. So what all we spoke now? We spoke about action groups. We spoke about functions associated with that action group. And we spoke about that logic of the function will go inside lambda. So let me try to show you some first. So this is what I will be GUI now, but I just want to walk you through this. This is my instruction. So when I created agent, I gave this instruction if you remember. I told you I will have two action groups. If you remember, I told you I'll have two action groups. This is my action group 1. The name of my action group 1 is map course recommendation. Function name associated with this action group is recommended course based on experience. So there will be action group and there will be a function, right? Function name is this. Function description is basically any description that I can give. This description takes the user years of experience and course interest as input and determines the most suitable and full data science course recommendation. This is just a description. Now, as I told you, I will take a parameter from user called years of experience. So parameters that I need is years of experience. This will be a number and this is a required parameter. Another parameter I will take, which is not a required parameter, but an optional parameter, that will be course interest. Okay, so optional parameter course interest. Now, once you have defined your first action group, first function and the parameters, then this is the definition of the lambda function that we will be putting in the lambda. This is my logic basically. So I'll just walk you through. Don't worry about the long code. It's very simple to understand. What is going to happen is when the agent is going to get called, right? Then if there is a recommendation action coming, it will call this function recommended course based on experience, this function. Okay. And this function will internally call a lambda function. So if you see here, this lambda function, whatever logic I'm writing here, that lambda will get called. Very simple to understand. This is the starting point of the lambda. It will take the agent, it will take the action group name, it will take the function name and the parameters that passing here, right? That parameter will come and get stored in parameter variables. From this parameter variable, I can extract years of experience and course interest. Okay, I'm extracting here. If you see paramdic.getValue, course interest paramdic.getValue. So I have years of experience parameter and I have course interest parameter. These two parameters coming from the user. Now, as I told you, I have a very simple if else logic here. If years of experience less than 2, then recommended core data science fundamental. If less than 3, between 3 to 5, intermediate machine learning. If greater than 5, then advanced deep learning and AI. This is my recommendation. And then I'm saying if specific course name in course interest or lower, you can add more courses here. So I have kept it open. You can add more courses here, and then recommended courses will go. Okay, and here the response will come and that response will be returned. That's it. That will happen in this lambda function. So you can think it very simply. My first action group, this is my function, which takes years of experience as an input, and this logic will run, and a course will be recommended. Course recommendation will be basically returned to the user. Fine. This is what this lambda will do. Now let's see second action group. As I told you, first action group will be recommending the course. Second action group will take that recommended course as an input, add some logic and just say to the user why that course is a great course for the user. So action group 2, provide course rating and function name, explain this. Parameters, years of experience, course interest and recommended course, which will come from the first action group, and these two are anyway our parameters. Fine. This will be the function name, and in the lambda all the things remain same. Only one thing is we will take the recommended course from the first action group. Okay, so if you see here, right here in case of paramdict, one another parameter will come and that will be recommended course. Recommended course is coming from first action group. If you see here, from first action group. Okay, and then we take this recommended course and we simply say if it is data science fund, if course is data science fundamentals, then this should be the logic. If course is intermediate machine learning, then this should be the user message. If course is advanced deep learning and AI, this should be the user message. If it is specific course name, some other course, okay, so this should be the logic. And here I'm just putting reasoning. If nothing happens, then this, and then it will simply return that. Okay. So what these two functions are doing in nutshell is, it is trying to take some user input, recommend a course, and tell to the user why you should take this course. Now let's go ahead and try to add these two in my AWS agent that I had created. So let me go here and I'll say return to console, and I will log in from my root user. Login from my root user. It is telling me to put some security things, which I will not put now. And let's go here and go to Amazon Bedrock. Open the agent that we have created. Go to agents. And the agent we had created was UFDS course recommender. Let's open this agent. And I will say edit in agent builder. So first of all, let's see. Hi, please suggest me a course. What the agent does. So it will either give some hallucination answer or something which does not make sense actually. So what I want to do is I want to make the agent little more smart and process the user information basically. Okay. I'll be glad to help. Could you please let me know how many years of experience you have and what specific topics. So for example, I'll say I have 7 years of 7 years of experience and interested in data science. So let's see what the agent does now without any action group. Sorry, I cannot help you with that request. So it is not capable now to do things. Okay, so let's make it capable. Let's go ahead, edit in agent builder, go here, and if you see, group will be this. Okay, description you can add if you want, or if you don't want, you can keep it optional as well. And just I will say AC1 for recommendation. Fine. Then in action group type, define with functional details. I will say you can define API schema, but I will use functional detail. And here I have chosen an option, quickly create a new Lambda function. So if you see, it will create a template for Lambda, which I will replace with my code. But let's go ahead and create a function here. In the function, this should be my function. Fine. And this should be description of the function, just to tell what this function does basically. Fine. And in parameters, as I told you, we will add some parameters here. So what parameters? For example, first parameter will be years of experience. So just add here years of experience. And we can simply say anything, for example, YOE of user, years of experience of user. Any description we can give. We can say this as number, and we can keep it as true because this is a required parameter. Fine. Then I will have one more parameter. What parameter? Course interest. In this course interest, I will simply say user interest. Okay. And here I will say string, and here I will not say required. So I will say false. Fine. This is not a required parameter, so false. So years of experience and course interest we have added. Now at the moment I say create, a Lambda function will get created in the background. So that Lambda function we will replace with our Lambda. Let us create this now and add our second action group as well. So this is getting created. Okay, let's add one more action group here, action group 2. And as I told you, the second action group, what is the job of second action group here? The job of second action group is provide course reasoning. So provide course reasoning. So I will say AC2, action group 2 here, just some description. Again, quickly create a Lambda function for the template. And I will say explain course recommendation is my function name. And function description is this. This function takes the recommended course user experience and course interest as input and provide detailed reasoning for the recommendation. Fine. And parameters, as I told you, 3 parameters we will add here. So I will say this. I will say YOE for user. This will be a number. This will be a number, and this will be a required parameter. I will add one more, course interest, optional. Course interest, it will be course interest, I'll say int string, and this will be an optional parameter. And here the third thing, recommended course, which is coming from the first action group actually. Okay, and this will be string, this will be required, and remember this will be coming from the first action group, recommended course. Okay, so I will say this, and here I will say string, and here I will say true, because this is a true, this is a mandatory parameter. Okay, so this we have done, and then at the moment I say create, it will create a lambda function. And what we need to do is we need to go ahead and edit that lambda function. So let it create lambda first. And in the background, I will also add lambda. So lambda is another service in Python, AWS. So we go there and we will see that two action groups would have been created here. So if you see here, two action groups have been created, provide course ratings and my course recommendation. So what I need to do is I need to update these two things. So first of all, my course recommendation. And if you see here, there will be a code template basically. And that template we have to update with our own template. So let it open. And meanwhile, what I will do is I will copy my code that I explained you. So this course, what it is running, this code, what it is running is a simple if else logic of recommendation. So let me copy this and let me paste it there. So if you see here, it is creating a template, but nothing meaningful happening here. So I will overwrite it. Okay. So I will simply say overwrite, and you need to say deploy. Deploy means this new code will get deployed. So I have deployed this new code. That function is changed now. So my course recommendation function is changed now here. So what we need to do next is we need to see here, this logic will run. This is the code logic. If less than 2 years experience, it will say data science fundamental. If 3 to 5, it will say intermediate machine learning. More than 5, it will say advanced deep learning and AI. Fine. This is the logic it will run. Then let's go to provide course reasoning, and let's change that as well. So here is my lambda for provide course reasoning. So I will take this and I will simply paste it there. So if you see here also a template is created, but I will just override this with my function. I will override and I will say deploy. And as I was telling you, this function, what it will do, if the system recommend data science fundamental, it will give this message. If it recommends intermediate machine learning, it will give this message, and so on and so forth. Fine. No changes to deploy means it has been deployed correctly. So my lambda function is updated. My agent is kind of updated with those two things. I will say save. And every time you save your agent, right, you need to necessarily prepare the agent. Otherwise, the agent will not get updated with recent changes. Okay. So you must click on prepare. So I will say prepare. And remember, when you prepare your agent, the latest changes get deployed for the agent. I will say save and exit. So you must be aware that last prepared should match the time when you are preparing this. So I mean, I prepared just now, so this time should be just now time. Then only the latest changes will come. Okay. So agent is prepared now. So let's be safer and let's prepare one more time here, because I don't want to lose any changes that I have done. So it is done. Now what I can do is, hi, can you recommend me any course? Let's see what the agent does now, because it has some more capabilities now. It has some functions which it can call. So it is asking, could you please provide me with the details, your years of professional experience, the specific data science course. My experience is 7 years, and my interest is in AI. Let's see what happens now. And one important thing to see here is 7 years recommendation should be advanced deep learning and AI. So that is what I'm expecting. So let's go here. Based on 7 years of experience, I recommend advanced deep learning and AI course. This course will provide you cutting edge technology in neural network deep learning. Where from it is taking that message? It should take from the second action group. So you will learn cutting edge techniques in neural network. This thing, right? AI applicant preparing your complex real world challenges. So basically, this agent is working how I want it to work. It is calling two different action groups and it is invoking that. Let's see that how it is working. So click on show trace and click on trace step 3. So if you see here, right, what I'm trying to show you is where it is calling what function. So if you see here, gathered information, recommended unfold data science course, use action groups to recommend course and explain to user. Maintain a friendly. This is my basically prompt that I have given to the course. The following actions are available. Provide course reasoning description. So basically this is part 2 happening here. Let's see the first trace. Okay. So here what should happen is provide course reasoning and recommendation course based on user experience. These two things should get called. So here what it is saying is course interest, years of experience and recommended course it need. So first of all it need recommendation, and for recommendation it is getting called, if you see here, recommendation course based on experience, and course interest and years of experience is getting as input. So these two things are getting as input, and that recommendation is getting invoked. And after that, I have everything I need. Map course recommendation. If you see here, I have everything. The best action plan is to you map course recommendation to get a course recommendation. So it is basically using map course recommendation, this part. Map course recommendation, this function it is calling. I have everything I need. Map course recommendation, recommender based on experience. So if you see here, recommendation course based on experience is what is getting used. Course interest is AI and years of experience is 7. With that, it is being used. And then the response will come. And that response, right? That response, if you see here, it is going parameters. Course interest is string AI, years of experience is number 7. And it is calling that. So observation means what is the response coming. So advanced deep learning and AI is the response coming. Okay. So this way, if you see the trace, right, you will understand what is happening. So this is trace 1. Then you can go and see trace 2, how the flow is happening. And then you will see that in the end. So if you see here, right, observation from trace 2. So this is basically your call to provide course reasoning. So how many parameters provide course reasoning takes? 3 parameters: course interest, years of experience and recommended course it is taking, and observation is basically output of that. So this is the output of that, and then all these things together is what you see in the front end. So this is how you can add action group actions functions to your agents, make your agents very smart, very intelligent. And this is basically a, you can add as much logic in this is basically a Python code, right? You can add, it is running in AWS console, and we are able to interact with the agent through this window here. What I want to do now is I want to create a UI to interact with the same agent. So my agent is hosted on AWS. My agent is equipped with some action groups, some functions, etc. So what if I want to have an UI of my own and interact with this agent? That's what I'm going to do. Before that, guys, I'm going to use a different platform for Python code this time, and that is Visual Code Studio. The reason is this is a more sophisticated as compared to Jupyter Notebook, more features, and we can run some applications. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code, you can simply Google Visual Studio and you can download it and install it. It's very simple to install. It's again a software development kit, nothing else, just a platform to write Python codes or other language codes. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this and write some lines of code. So let me go to my Visual Studio and let me try to show you how it is looking like. So this is my Visual Studio. I have installed it. And if you see here, I have created a blank repository here. I have named it AWS Agent UI. What you can do in your case when you open it first time, right? You can go on file and you can create on open folder. When you create an open folder, it will take you to any place, any folder in your, based on where the installation is. You can create a new folder and you can name that AWS Agent UI. Okay. So it's very simple to do. You can just try it yourself. And first of all, let me try to create a requirements file here. The reason is I will put all the packages which I need in this text file. So let me call it requirements.txt. So here I'll put all my packages, and the packages I will use is, first thing that I will need obviously Boto3, because I need to talk to AWS. So Boto3 is needed. UUID will be needed to create a session ID, unique session ID. And one more package I'll be using here, that will be Streamlit. So I will show you how Streamlit works first, and then we will go on to build the real app. So what is Streamlit basically? So Streamlit is basically a package or a software or a Python package, you can say, that helps you build UI in a very nice and easy way. Let me show you one example before we go on to build our actual UI. So before doing anything, just to be on the safer side, I will install all these packages. You can do it. For doing that, you can run pip install -r requirements.txt. So what this command will do is, it will install these three packages if it's not there already. In my case, it's there, so no problem, you can install it. So requirement.txt is done. Now let me show you one example of how Streamlits work. Simple example, okay? So I will say basic streamlit.py. So I'm creating a basic file to show you how Streamlit works. So simply you have to say import Streamlit as st, and what you can do is, in Streamlit you can define your UI, how your UI should look like. So first thing I'm going to define here is what will be the name of my web page or the UI page. So you can say st.title. So name is simple Streamlit app, and then Streamlit lets you have a text input where you can put some text. For example, I'll say text input your name colon. So here I can go and put my text. At the moment I put my text, that text will come in name variable. Okay. And then I can process this name variable. So I will say if name is present, then st.write hello name. So what I'm doing is, simply when this page will open, you will see a text box will come. Whatever we enter in that text box, that will get stored in this name. Okay. And if there is something in the name, then in the output you will see hello, whatever you enter in the name. Let me show you how to run this. So simply you can say streamlit run and name of your file. So here basic sl.py. Enter, and one UI should open. So as you can see here, one UI is opening, and I can say your name is Aman. At the moment I press enter, it will say hello Aman. At the moment I say Kumar, my second name, it will say hello Kumar. AWS agent through UI. Whatever name you want to give, you can give. And here, let me first stop the running agent, running page. So Control C is the command for that. You can run it. And if you're not able to see terminal, simply go to view and click on terminal. So terminal will come for you. Let's go ahead and try to put some code here that will help us to interact with the agent. So first of all, let's put some packages that we will use for sure. One is Streamlit, another is Boto3, and third is UUID to generate a unique string. So Boto3 is mandatory because Boto3 will enable you to interact with Bedrock. And remember, I am logged in my console through that user which we have created. Hence, it will run fine. If you're not logged in, it will not run fine. So I'm initializing using Bedrock Agent Runtime Client, if you see here. So this becomes my Bedrock Agent runtime through Boto3, which will use my stored credential. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my agent ID and agent alias ID. So here you can replace with your agent ID and alias ID. So agent ID is this, agent alias ID is this. Let me go to AWS console and take my right agent ID. So this is my agent. So my ID is this. So I'll have to put it here. My ID is this. And what is my ID for alias? So my alias ID is this. So let me go here and put that. My alias ID is this. Okay. So basically those two IDs were, I think I had copied before. So those two IDs were same. Fine. You can replace with your agent ID and alias ID. Fine. Now, once you have done that, what you need to do is you need to initialize a session ID in Streamlit. Why? Because here we want to have a session in progress, because we want to have a continuous conversation with the agent. We do not want to break that thread. So session ID you can think of as a thread that tells to the agent that, this is the ID of this session. So if you see in session ID, I am storing a unique string that will get generated from UUID. So basically, UUID will generate a unique string that will become session ID for that session when I run it. So you can think it very simply as there is a unique identifier for every time you open this application. Fine. So that is about session ID. Now let's give a name to our UI like we gave in the example. So I'm saying Bedrock Agent Chat. And then I'm doing few things here that you need to pay attention. First is here I'm building a contextual chatbot kind of thing. So I need to store the history also. If you see here, right? Initialize chat history in session state. So first time when you go and interact with the agent, right? You will say something, agent will say something. So that needs to get stored in the chat history. So here I'm saying initially, if chat history is not there in session state, then create a chat history with blank list here in Python. And then what I will do is I will keep appending the chat history variable with whatever chat is happening with the agent. Why this is necessary? This is necessary because if you go to this console here, right? This is chat history. This is nothing but chat history. Here, AWS is internally holding that. But in our case, we are doing it with the help of a session ID plus chat history variable. Fine. And now we need to display the messages, right? Whenever we are interacting with the agent. So let's do that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to say display chat message from history. So if message in chat history, if chat history has a message, so initially it will not have any message, but if it has a message, then if the role is user, then you have to print u colon, u means user, and if it's not user means it's a bot, then you have to print agent colon content. So basically what this code is doing is whatever chat user will do with the agent, you will see a display of that at the bottom. For example, me this, agent this, you this, agent this, like that the display will come. So that we want just get input field where we will take user input. So here we will take user input just like previous example. I'm just saying st.text input, type your message. And let's go ahead and put a send button. Through this send button, what will happen is user will put message to the agent. So I'm saying st.button send. If that button is clicked, right, then what is going to happen is few things here. First of all, adding the user input to the chat history. So if you see here, I am saying if there is an user input, user has pressed send means user is sending some message, right? So that message, put it in the chat history. So if you see here, chat history dot append, role is user and content is user input. So user input is nothing but this variable that user is passing. So what is happening here in this part of the code is basically in the chat history, we are storing user message. Fine. And then I will try to invoke the agent. So let me try to invoke the agent. So here I am trying to invoke the agent in a try catch block. I am saying bedrock agent runtime dot invoke agent, agent ID, agent ID, agent alias ID, agent alias ID. Input text is user message. So user message with what user is user input basically. User input is basically what is the input here. Fine. And I am calling the agent with this. And remember here I am passing session ID. This is very important because you also want to tell to the agent that I am in the same session. Okay. So you are passing your session information here as well. This is about calling the agent. Now, if I call the agent, I'm going to get a response, but that response is going to be a little tricky to parse. So we can say event stream is equal to response completion. So this is basically your response in terms of event stream. So what happens in AWS is it will give you response in terms of event stream. So if you remember when I was showing you the trace in the AWS UI, right? You would be seeing a lot of information there, like what the agent is thinking, what the agent is orchestrating, some kind of keywords, some kind of messages, some kind of function call, some kind of JSON file. So many things are there, right? So in event stream, broadly, I will be writing some code here, but don't confuse with that. Broadly, we will have two things. First thing is called basically the message that you are going to get from the event, and that is known as chunk. Okay, chunk. So if you see chunk in your event stream, that means it is the response in terms of message that you are getting from the agent. And if you see trace in your event stream, right, then you should think like it has to do more with the orchestration of the agent, how agent is planning to orchestrate your task, and we have to extract some message from the trace. So let me try to show you how we can do that. Before that, let me initialize a variable where we will just store the response. Okay, so full response is blank. I'm initializing this. Then what I'm doing is for event in event stream. So I'm going to all the events in event stream. For event in event stream, we will be parsing these events. So as I told you, one possibility is it can be a chunk type event. If it is a chunk type event, then you directly paste it in full response. So if chunk in event, then full response is equal to simply take this and decode in UTF-8, which means make it more better in terms of readability and usability. So if there is chunk in the event, you simply put in the full response. So that is your basically response. It is easy to parse. But if you see trace in the event, if you see trace in the event, what will happen is what will happen is there could be different scenarios here and you need to parse that. So I'm saying first of all you need to see what is there in trace data. So trace data you take in trace data variable. So this is your trace data. Now inside trace data you have to go and you have to see what is there in the trace data. So the first possibility could be this. So I'm writing here if if trace type, this word is there in trace data and trace data dot trace type, which means in key value pair, if trace type is agent orchestration, then you have to parse it slightly differently. So what will happen in this scenario is if orchestration steps in trace data. So don't worry about all these inner level details. Just keep in mind that if you are parsing trace, right, then you need to follow few things because that parsing trace is slightly complicated in AWS. If it is chunk, definitely it will come in full response. Now I am parsing trace. So in trace, you have to see what is trace data. Then you go to trace data and you see if there is trace type variable there, word there. When you see that, you see if there is agent orchestration value. If it's there, then you see if orchestration steps in trace data. If it happens, okay, then you start a for loop. So you see what is happening inside. And then what you need to do is you need to see what is the agent action. So here for step in orchestration steps, if agent action in step and agent action type in step action and agent action type is return final response. If this is the case, then you need to see what is the agent action output. If you get an final response, right, you simply store in your final response. So here if you see, right, I'm preparing full response again. Full response is step agent action output final response. So I'm trying to parse final response for this category, for this kind of work. What could be the other category or other kind of work? Other kind of work could be this. So there is one more situation that can happen. So if you see here, else if agent action, previously we are saying agent action output in agent action, then that will happen. But if agent action output in this and one more situation satisfies, okay, in agent action and output text in this, right, then what you need to do is you need to again parse the output in a slightly different way. So if you see here, right, here full response I am taking. Previously we were taking from agent action output final response because final response was coming directly from there. But now you need to see little differently. You need to see Step agent action, invoke model response is coming in between, and then the output text is coming. So basically, two different types of parsing is happening here. One parsing is you are directly getting a final response, and here you are getting invoke model response and then output text. So I'm aware that this might we are parsing the output, and once we parse everything, right, what we can do is we can simply store the chat history again. So if you see here full response, I am storing in chat history because that becomes my chat history, right? So I have added that, and then since I started with a try block, so I need to add a catch block also. If you can see, there is one error coming, so I will add a catch block here in parallel to my try block. So my try block starts from here. Okay, so I will add a catch block here. So if I add a catch block, you see that error is gone. So I'm saying exception, an error occurred if there is an error, and session state again, that error will get appended. Okay, chat history. We have try catch, we have everything. We are calling the agent, we are parsing the response, everything is done. Only one thing in the end, we need to simply say that streamlit dot rerun. Okay, so rerun. So here in the send button, right, every time you press send, right, these things will happen. Okay, now what is happening here is I have given agent id, I have given alias id. So let me try to run this once and show you what happens. Streamlit run call enter. So let me see what happens. Actually, let me go ahead and save this. I don't know, it is not saved maybe. Let's stop this and rerun. So I have stopped that. Let me close it from UI as well. Close it from UI. I will run one more time because I think I forgot to save it. So let me try to rerun. So you will see that a UI will open and I can chat. Hi, please suggest me a course. This is the same agent that you saw in the front end console. Hello, I can currently help you with that. Can you please provide me total your years of experience, the specific data science course you are looking into? Okay, fine. So here I will say my years of experience is 8 and my um, interest is in data science. So I'm expecting that advanced AI course to be suggested. Let's see. Okay, see here, my years of experience is 8 and my interest in data science. I apologize, I wasn't able to provide a course recommendation. The provided module Unfold Data Science does not exist. So here there is one problem, and I'll tell you what the problem is. Whenever you do some changes in the agent, right, remember you have to prepare the agent. Otherwise, the agent will not get new changes. That is when you are in console. Fine. But if you are interacting with the agent through Python from outside world, right, you must create a new alias. So this is the old alias version 1. Let me try to create a new alias. So I will say second alias. Okay. I will say test and I will say create alias. What this will ensure is all your latest changes are part of this. Okay. So I will come here, I will copy this and I will paste it here. I will paste it here in my alias. I will save this file. I will stop this and let me try to close the UI and then we will rerun the agent once and see if it is able to help me with the course. So let me try to rerun the course, rerun the agent and ask about the course. So, hi, can you help me with the course? Don't worry about misspelling, it will. Generative AI is normally very good with misspellings. I would be happy to help you. Can you please let me know years of experience and specific course? So I will say same thing, 8 years of EXP and interested in data science. Fine. So let me see what agent is saying this time. It's running, as you can see, running logo here. So based on 8 years of experience, I recommend advanced deep learning AI code. This course will provide you with cutting edge technology. This is the response we are expecting. As you see, if I give 8 years here, same response comes. Okay. So remember, when you are using from the front end, right, you should use a definitely new alias after the changes, because the old alias might be referring not be referring to the latest changes. Fine. So that way you can create a UI for your agent and you can consume your agent. Now this UI that we have built, right, this can be integrated very well into any website, into a API, into any web application, any platform, right? So that is how you can use this. So I hope you try to understand or to say any agentic AI system known as guardrails. And as you can see on the left hand side, right, in the safeguards, there is a section for guardrails. So let's click on guardrails and see what is guardrail. So if you see here, Amazon Bedrock guardrails are used to implement application specific safeguards based on your use case and responsible AI policies. So what we are going to understand is how to build an AI application or how to build a agent which is responsible and which does not violate any regulation, does not throw any sensitive information and things like that. First of all, let me try to show you how to build a guardrail. So in Amazon Bedrock, you can simply click on create a guardrail. And here I can give a name, for example, UFDS guardrail. And description I'm saying here, this guardrail. So I can basically, this is a responsible AI component that we are trying to build. So it depends on us what we want to protect or what we want to not to show to the user or things like that. So I will say this guardrail will ensure no sensitive information, no sensitive information is leaked, and no questions answered on, let's take any controversial personality. For example, I will take here Donald Trump. So what I want to do here is, if you are asking any question on Donald Trump to this agent or to this AI application, wherever you put this guardrail, right, it will not tell you any answer. So message for block prompt is, sorry, the model cannot answer this question. So if there is something which I want to block, then it will say this. So let me try to show you some more things here. So go to next. So here it will ask you harmful categories. So there are different categories of harmful messages. So if you see here, hate, insult, sexual violence, or misconduct. The thing is, based on your application, you want to make it low, medium, high, or whatever you want to make it, you can just drag this. For example, I'm making everything as medium here. And if you are not aware of concept of prompt attack, right? So prompt attack is basically when somebody tries to misuse your system through prompts, basically. So if you see here, right, enable to detect and block user inputs attempting to override system instructions. So sometimes some hackers, what they will do is they will write very lovely prompts, nice prompts that will simply, override your system instructions. To avoid misclassifying system prompt as a prompt attack and ensure that filters are selectively applied to user input. So you can turn this on as well or turn this off, whatever, that is your choice. Let's make it medium and move to next. Here I will say denied topic. So on which topic you do not want to talk? That is what it is asking. So I will say add denied topic. And here I will say Donald Trump. Okay, so I don't want my system to talk about Donald Trump. Don't answer anything on Donald Trump. Okay, and simple. It is asking me, do you want to give an example phrase? So I will say, what is your opinion on Donald Trump. So I'm just giving an example phrase so that system can understand what kind of phrases it should not answer to. So I will say confirm. Then it is saying me add word filters. So here what I can do is I can add some words which I want to block, or I want to see what it is saying. Specify up to 10,000 words or phrases to be blocked by the guardrail. So guardrail will block those things. Blocked message will show if user input or model response contains these words. So these can be in user message or system message. If you say block, both the sides it will block it. Fine. And some more options, profanity filter, enable this filter to block profane words in user input. So these things you can do. One critical thing I want to show you here is add sensitive information filter. And if you are working in banking, if you are working in investments, right? If you are working with any kind of sensitive data, this is very, very critical. Protecting PII data. So personal identifiable information data. Let me show you, let me tell you here, mask all 31 types of PII data. So name, phone, email, address, age, username, password, driver license, whatever, these kind of things are there. I'm saying guardrail, mask it. You can block it also, you can mask it also. So in masking, if sensitive information detected, the guardrail will replace it with an identifier. In blocking, if sensitive information detected in the user input or model response, the guardrail returns a blocked message to the user. Fine. So this is about how you want to do it. You can give some rejects also that your guardrail will take, and it will kind of work with those rejects. And here add contextual grounding and relevance. So let's not do anything here and let's create now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say create my guardrail. So my guardrail will get created. And what I can do is I can select a model. So let's take Amazon, any normal model we can take. Create version. Let me create a version. Create version. And let's try to write some prompt here. For example, here I can say, hi, my name is Aman and I am a data scientist. Okay. And let's run this and let's see what the response comes. If there is a guardrail intervention coming, right, it will intervene this. So for example, hello Aman, it has masked if you see. Fine. And then it is giving me some things in the response. But just see the trace here. So it is saying intervened 3 instances. At 3 instances, it has intervened. So let's see here. What is the so detected PII type Aman. So it has masked that. Detected PII type. So name. Aurelian Geron is a famous author in data science. So that also it has masked in the response. If you read right here, that thing will be masked. And let me go here and ask about, hi, please tell me about Donald Trump. So if I run this, right, sorry, the model cannot answer this question. And if you see here, denied topic. So if you remember, I had denied that topic, detected Donald Trump topic. So I had denied that. So denied topic. So anything, if you ask about violence, that is medium response. Please tell me about uh, any sensitive topic you can, violence on human worldwide in detail. So what it will do is it will apply a medium level of scrutiny on that. So PIA type 60 it is taking, but again sensitive information filter it is taking, but that's fine. We can go back and check if we can increase the level of that or whatever. You can write some prompts here and see where it is intervening, where it is blocking, where it is masking, and we can update our guardrail. Now, one important thing what I want to do here is, and I'm not able to do that is, this guardrail basically I want to add in my agent. So if I go to my agent, right, and if I go here, and if I go to edit agent builder, here you will see an option of adding a guardrail. So for example, guardrail details, I want to edit this and I want to update my guardrail. But whenever I want to do that, right, I am facing access related issues. So if I say save and exit, right, the trusted principal don't belong to this service. But this is not a big deal actually, because you know what is guardrail, what will guardrail do if it gets attached to this agent. Only thing is this some access related issue is coming, due to which the guardrail is not getting added to this agent. Once it gets added in this response, right? If you ask who is Donald Trump, it will say I can't answer you. If you ask about any sensitive information, it will mask it, and things like that will keep happening. So I will fix this and I'll update you on this. And additionally, I will create couple